Welcome to my third YouTube video. Thanks for tuning in. Hello to all my followers and hello who is watching for the first time. As I've said in my last YouTube video, I'm going to talk about Kissing Strangers, which is a short story about the refugee crisis from a mermaid's point of view. So considering that the story is fantasy, I wanted to keep it as realistic as possible, so the only magic that really is affecting the characters is a mermaid's kiss that can save a human from drowning. And I think what's very important about good fantasy is that you keep it that you keep it relatable to reality through metaphor and allegory. Otherwise, it would be pure entertainment. So, a mermaid's kiss, something that is so simple and so effective, is a metaphor for every European citizen who can so easily help the refugees with money, for instance. Refugees who come to a country like Austria, Germany or France have so little in comparison to a European, and the little help a European can do is then actually already quite a lot. So in my story there is only one mermaid helping the refugees to survive, and this is another metaphor, or really an allegory, for all the Europeans who could do something but don't. The grandmother, for instance, urges her granddaughter to do something, but she herself is doing nothing. And very often I feel we talk about problems, might it be global warming, poverty, world hunger, or the refugee crisis. At the end of the day, very often we don't know what to do or how to help or how to do something. And I think most people, including myself, take the position of the grandmother, because, for instance, my family and me donated winter clothes to the refugees, and the question is this enough or should you do more? And then, as I do in this very moment, most of the time we then talk about the problems and the crisis we face. So, to sum up, what I really want to say with this story is that everybody can choose to be a mermaid and kiss strangers and choose to give another person a better life, and how easy it is to overlook the mermaid's grandmother's position, and how easy we can really find ourselves in her again. So the next story I'm going to read out to you is about these little creatures here, dragons. For thousands and thousands of years they have captured the imagination of storytellers, and all you have to do now again is lean back and simply listen to my story. The Secret Garden. Once upon a time, far away from the people of Europe, far in the north, there was a little island. Surrounded by deep waters and engrossed by towering waves, hardly anyone knew about its existence. From time to time, though, sailors and mariners crossed its way, but thought it was dangerously enchanted and therefore did not stay for long. In a distant past there was a fair kingdom on that island, but time erased the kings and queens and its people to leave only stones and ruins behind. Now the ruins cast shadows and the sailors are afraid of them. They have never looked beyond the shadow, though, for there was the real enchantment of the island. Behind the shadows and between the ruins of the royalty of old, there was a secret garden full of flowers. Flowers everyone knew about. Lilies, roses, tulips, but more beautiful than any other that grew in Europe. Then there were other flowers as well. Flowers forgotten by mankind, which used to be on the mainland when humans still believed in nature. There were golden flowers, silver ones, flowers that would shine in the moonlight. Others had the shape of triangles, wings or feathers. Flowers that looked so different from any you might know that their image simply must be made up. But they were all in that very secret garden. Most peculiar about these flowers was the fact that they were not alone. Every single one of them had a protector. In the shadow of every flower rested a little dragon. Not bigger than the size of a flower's petal, but strong and fierce within. Every dragon reflected the color and the magic of its flower, and as every single flower was different, so was every dragon. From time to time, 2 dragons would fall in love and perform a dance among the stars. When the dance came to an end, a new seed would appear in the garden, and by next summer a young flower would grow and a young dragon would appear in the sunlight. Whenever this happened, there would be a feast among the dragons. They invited their closest friends, birds, butterflies, and ladybirds. Together they made music. The music of the dragons told about ancient times, the history of ruined kingdoms and long-forgotten kings and queens. Chivalrous knights, wise princes, and fair mermaids were to be found in their stories. The music of the birds and the other animals were about the doings and events of mankind beyond the garden, the shadow, and the island. This way, the dragons would always know about the human world. Then one fateful morning a cloud covered the sun and would not leave. The dragons were worried. Normally, the sun was stronger than the clouds and would break through eventually. But this time, the clouds remained and the shadow lingered. At the next feast, the birds sung a different song. It was about war and despair. Atrocities and horrors dragons have never heard of before. Not even in the tales of ancient kings and queens, and after all, some of their warriors had to fight demons and sea monsters. Next morning the dragons assembled, and the oldest and wisest dragon, Ophelia, spoke to the other dragons. My family, it is time to leave our secret garden and fly to Europe. We must end the war and assist humanity. Only then will the cloud disappear and the sun will return. But we have never left. What will happen to our flowers? They need us. We cannot leave, Arias said, a dragon red as blood, known for his smartness. Thousands of years ago, only I, old enough to remember, there was another cloud covering the sun. My family made the same choice. They left and they returned, though I must say, not all of them. Ophelia closed her eyes for a moment and shed a tear. Then she spread her ancient wings, shining with a deep green radiance, and rose into the sky. One dragon must remain and tend to the flowers. Auroras, I choose you to stay behind. Auroras, a purple dragon shimmering white and blue like dawn, looked up at Ophelia and said, "Thank you, this is quite an honor. I will take great care of all the flowers. Do not thank me, for you shall carry the greatest burden of us all," Ophelia said, and with these words she flew over the shadow, the ruins, and beyond the island. The other dragons followed her. The last one to leave was Matthias, a strong and wise dragon. He was the lover of Auroras. I will return to you and tell you of the war. She kissed him goodbye, and she looked him into the eyes one last time, deep as a mountain lake. Then he spread his blue-green wings and followed the others. So this was not the end of the story, but really a cliffhanger. So this was part 1 of the story, and part 2 will follow in a couple of days. Just to give you a little background of the little dragons here, I'm going to show you Ophelia again, for instance. So they are made out of Fimo, and I started making them when I was about 14 years old. This was the first one I've ever made. And in the beginning they were just really for fun, because next to writing I do enjoy drawing and sculpturing. And as I've just said in the beginning, they were just for fun, but then later they became birthday presents and Christmas presents because my friends were absolutely in love with them, and now this story really gave them a deeper meaning of what they are and what they stand for. And part 2 of the story and what it is all about will follow in a couple of days. Thanks for watching, see you soon.